Hello from Safonovo. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about podtext, context, and let's start with the definition.
When we talk about Russian, it's easy to explain. When you have text, you could read between the lines. But when you will use English, especially English version, sometimes it would be really amazing situation. For example, I am tired of you or I am sick of you. It's quite different things, but it's almost the same meaning. Or for example, I got you or I'm getting what your point. Or maybe something, I know your angle, or let's discuss this angle, or I'll accept your answer, or for example, I'll think about it. And also you taught me how to think, how to talk, to use something in addition. For example, not just hunt, but hunt down, not just follow, but follow through. And you know, when you use such kind of languages, sometimes you will feel their beauty. Their context is so cute, so funny. For example, you could say, what a douchebag. Is it right to say douchebag?
Douchebag, yes.
Or for example, there is several words with shit. It could be bullshit, horse shit, or even radish shit.
Well, when we actually look into the context, I do believe it should be important to start with the viewer point of view, because they might be having their own world, their own definition of things, maybe their own literacy, or maybe they've been through different places and situations. So in order to at least get the idea that there is like at least one or two layers, you actually need to be somewhere and been somewhere. So how to be prepared in order to understand all of the possible types of the contexts?
I'll give several examples on different languages. For example, you could say natürlich in German or selbstverständlich. And you know, it's quite a difference. If you are saying natürlich, it means that this is just a common language. But selbstverständlich, it's high level. Or Goch, German. You could speak, for example, something like, I möchte eine Frage stellen. Я хочу задать, I want to ask one question, or you could use more polite version. The same in English. For example, maybe I am outdated, but if I remember, you taught me about shall. Shall I sit? Shall I come? And this makes you like a queen or king, because it's quite polite, more than polite. There is a joke. It started like 2 weeks ago in LinkedIn. I don't know exactly what the sitcom it was, or maybe it was movie, but even people from England watch this movie with subtitles, because the English is very difficult and it's very narrow. Sometimes you will use it to show that something happened in very concrete, very specific area. For example, if I'm not mistaken, Sean Connery, person who was playing character of 007 agent, he was saying not she to women's, but he was saying she. It was especially made. So he wanted to make sound she as hard as possible.
And when we actually try to get someone else context, probably, as I said, there might be like a different layers, or in your case, in the agent 007, it might be like a specific, like treatment. But how do we make sure that in whatever context we look in, it's actually right? Because sometimes people also could be putting facade, or they might be just like giving signals that could be treated by our like environment as the context, but in reality it will be different. So again, the question is like how to recognize, interpret, and then process it in the right way.
It's not easy if you are not native speaker. For example, when you will be in England, you will be asked, would you like to have a tea at some like 4:30? And it would be a great mistake if you will agree, because you just say half an hour later we will make 5 o'clock tea. So this 5 o'clock, not just meaning, it's just exact time. Or for example, you will go to dive somewhere, and you will talk with people with just common language, and they will understand that you are Rocky, you know, novice. Yes, okay.
Novice.
Novice. Or for example, you sometimes correct my mistakes and then I just laugh. It was so unusual. I was completely wrong when understanding these words. So for example, if we will talk in German, there are two funny things. First, they have no phonetics. So if you will buy a dictionary, there would be no explanation in special letters. And second, sometimes they add just root of the words altogether. For example, I was writing a hacker's editor, it named head, and German people, they were saying, das ist eine eierlegende Wollmilchsau. This is something like a chicken who make eggs, but also have fat as a pig and also have a wool as a sheep. So everything in one. But for example, in Russian, we will say maybe like a Swiss knife. What's the difference?
And well, you actually mentioned one of the interesting cases, and we probably will try to expand it. Sometimes context or ability to interpret and maybe response back could be treated as the, I would say, like etiquette. So you put yourself a label, and maybe you could go to specific society or group of people who actually would recognize you because you would give certain signals saying that actually, yeah, you're part of them. In whatever way, so that you can proceed. So whether it's also important to understand about this type of context in order to open certain doors.
You know, when you will be, for example, on Hawaii, you sometimes will hear a very unusual words or a very unusual usage. Sometimes they broke English just to show that they are different. They are completely sure that their islands are middle of the universe. You know, it's so funny. When you will be, for example, in Australia, you will see mapped top down, and it would be flipped in horizontal and vertical way, both way flipped. And then you will see, and everything's unusual. So you could think that people on other part of the earth going by their heads. You know, for example, it was a very strange situation in history. I will show two examples. First, people from ancient Greek, when they saw horse riders, they decide that this is Centaurus, because it was very far to see. But from another point of view, some people from Mongolia, when they have been to Japan, they have seen some people who raise legs higher than eyes. And they decided that they make this gesture instead of palm with their leg, just to hide out of the sun. So they even couldn't imagine this is kind of gymnastics.
Well, this is funny enough. And when we speak to some of the people, and let's say both of the people actually quite intelligent, and sometimes, let's say if the relationships or whether it's like a business or personal, they might be not so healthy. So it's also could be a game when someone like giving certain context or not giving, hoping that you will get this context or won't be. So at the moment you will need to pay for the agreement or need to show the outcome or results or whatever, you will think that the context was different and you will be surprised that in fact it's not. So if you know that could be something like this, how to actually, okay, maybe we'll try to use a technical term, unflatten like all of the complex structure and make it like a more or less straightforward.
You know, when you live in a huge city, everything is standardized. How to say it?
Standardized.
Standardized. But for example, when you will be on the coasts or on small islands, you will find a very funny situation. For example, it's because of uncertainty. You will hear something like a dish. It would be catch of the day. Not, for example, it would be like a special kind of the fish, but catch of the day. And today it would be great fish, and another day it would be just garbage fish. Or for example, you will go to my lovely Jimbaran village on Bali, and there are several ways how they cook, for example, lobsters. And sometime you will be asked, would you like shrimps, would you like prawns, and would you like lobsters? And you know what's funny? Prawn, it's like in Russian language, a very small creature which lives in the river, not in the sea. And sometimes prawn, it would be small cocktail shrimps. And sometimes it would be quite huge. For example, Madagascarian shrimp, it would be also prawn or sea prawn. And you know, it's difference between brown and fresh brown. So if you will see, there are three differences: brown, fresh brown, and sea brown. And it's mean how it was stored and where it was cached.
And then my last question on this topic will be how knowing about context could help to make this world a better place.
When I have been to Australia and I was diving on Great Barrier Reef, I was talking to different kind of people, and we have a lot of funny time because several pieces of equipment and currents and winds and our clothes has different names in different positions. For example, on Bermudas, something would be sounds like variant AA, something in Australia as variant B, in, for example, USA, variant C. For example, it would be like smoking or tuxedo, and it would be taxi or cab, or it would be a lot of different words, and they are familiar but not equal. They are similar but not to the 100%. Usually context will explain where you're from. There is a joke, I don't know if it is funny, but father, Roman father, it's okay to say? Papa Rimsky.
Roman father.
Roman father, Pope, enter the pub and says, can I have beer? And bartender would ask, do you want two? No, Roman dog, I want 5.
And we reviewed the skill of the context and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.